Hey guys, Fletch here, bringing you another Fletch Talks video, and this video is going to be centering around the breaking news that Nigel Pearson has been sacked by Watford Football Club with 2 games of the season remaining. The news breaks not even 48 hours after Watford's 3-1 defeat away at West Ham on Friday night, in which West Ham pretty much secured their Premier League status for another season, whilst the Hornets are still fearing for their Premier League survival, given that they are only 3 points above the relegation zone. Pearson took charge of Watford back in December of last year and has become the 3rd manager this season to have been given the sack by the club after he originally succeeded former boss Quique Sanchez-Flores, who in turn succeeded Javi Gracia at the beginning of the season as well. Now, during the time of 22 games that he took charge of Watford, Pearson won 7, drew 5 and lost 10 of those games, with his biggest moment of course being that victory of the season, the biggest victory of their season, being the 3-0 victory over champions Liverpool that not only ended the Reds' chances of going invincible this year, but also ended their 44-game unbeaten run in the Premier League. Pearson leaves Watford in 17th position with 34 points after a record of 8 wins, 10 draws and 18 losses across the 36 games already played this season. But let's not forget that when Pearson did take over the club, Watford were rock bottom of the Premier League with 9 points from their opening 16 games. And with the state of the club and the squad as it were, it's actually pretty incredible to think of how far they've come and that they're not already down already, and a large part of that credit should go to Pearson for that. But it does mean that with 2 games of the season remaining, Watford are 3 points above the relegation zone, with both Bournemouth and Aston Villa behind them as the relegation scrap looks set to go down to the wire. Now, as far as the news of this goes, the timing of it as well is pretty shocking in all honesty. Pearson's contract with the club did run out at the end of the season, granted, so it didn't look likely that he was going to be re-signing with the club, or the club didn't want to re-sign him anyway, although Pearson had stated that he would like to resume as the Watford manager going forward. And although the Hornets had 2 very tough games remaining to see out the season, the first being against Manchester City and the second being against Arsenal, who seem to have picked up a little bit of form in recent games, they certainly have the potential to overcome those last 2 games and just about manage to keep their heads above water given the current situation they're in. They are, like I said, 3 points above the relegation zone, and despite having 2 very tough games, it does seem like only a win or maybe even just a point or 2 from them last 2 games would have kept them in the Premier League for another season. I'm not saying they don't have any sort of chance with a new guy in charge, whoever that may be. It's still yet to be decided who will be replacing him for them final 2 games at the very least. And this could be their last throw of the dice to ensure that they remain a Premier League club. This is their last throw. It's a massive gamble to take from a guy who has pulled off a couple of big results already this season and has also taken Watford from certain relegation to having a massively decent fighting chance of surviving it. So it could either be a big gamble going forward as to ensure their Premier League survival, or it could be a signal that the club are throwing in the towel for this season, so to speak, and that they're just willing to let whatever happened this season happen, and perhaps they're putting plans already in motion for the beginning of their next campaign, wherever they may be. This could be a way of them saying, we don't care whether we're going to be in the Premier League for next season or the Championship for next season. We're just putting plans in place to begin preparations for the next campaign. So it'd be very interesting to see how this one plays out and whether this is the case or whether this is just the big gamble to ensure their Premier League survival. And let's face it, as I've already mentioned, this does seem harsh on the guy. This guy came into the club with a very, very big task ahead of him. A massively uphill struggle to get this team that were rock bottom of the Premier League to a fighting chance of survival, and he took over a squad. He inherited a squad that were underperforming. They were struggling to find motivation to fight. They were not motivated to play for any of their past 2 current managers, it seemed. and it's just seemed like this club were doomed for relegation from an early stage of the season. And Pearson came in and he gave them confidence and he took them to a fighting chance. He gave them a fighting chance against relegation. And overall, I'm finding it difficult to find a genuine reason as to why the club would do this. Yes, his contract was up in the summer, but with it being so close to the end of the season anyway, why do it now? Why have it with only 2 games remaining, have him dismissed completely? And I know that this is basically a club that has a tendency to sack managers in the very early stage of their career. It's not, if you're looking for a long-term job, this isn't a club to be having that kind of ambition for. They tend to sack you at the first signs of things going horribly wrong. They tend to rehire former managers and attempt that maybe the second time around will be better. But this isn't the case here. Some reason Pearson's been sacked prematurely. I don't know why exactly, but I'm sure we will find out more in the coming days. But what we do know is that Nigel Pearson has been sacked by Watford Football Club, and let's face it, whoever's task it is to take charge of them for the final 2 games of the season and throughout has a really huge challenge right off the bat ahead of them in order to keep their Premier League status. Otherwise, there's a big possibility that Championship football awaits the Hornets for next season. But that's just one man's thoughts and one man's opinions on this particular topic. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think this is the right move by Watford? Do you think this was the wrong move? Where do you see their season lying? Will they remain in the Premier League? Will they be in the Championship? And what do you see of their future going forward beyond this? I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. Hit the like button on the way if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things would be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.